Greetings and peace. Back at you again. Wanted to go ahead and make a part 2 to the reptilian information, just to clarify more. Like I said I was going to do, and this is kind of like a separate direction, a separate train of thought, a separate logic, or I guess you could say a separate set of information that I'm going to address. So I didn't want to mix it up into part 1 because I'm, trying to compartmentalize a little bit so I don't mix everything up, keep it exciting for you guys. So on this episode, what I'm going to talk about is different ways that how you can spot a reptilian, because I want to make this real. And what I mean by this, let me clarify before I go into it. What I mean by this is that there are beings out here, human beings, that are dominated and totally influenced by reptilians. So you have to watch part 1 to understand part 2. Now, we all have reptilian in us. I know I've said that, but that doesn't mean that the reptilian gene dominates you. There are beings that have the reptilian gene dominating their makeup. They're dominant reptilians, and there's different ways that you can go about spotting them. And that's what I want to go and talk about in this particular episode. Now, let's first talk about how to spot them. Let's deal with places that they hang out. I want to start out with that. What they may like more so, let's get more specific. What they like to do for a living. See, reptilians have specific things that they like to do for a living. Reptilian dominated beings. One thing that they like to do for a living, one of the top things that they like to do for a living is that they like to get in politics. They love to get in politics because of the fact that they can control, they can hide out, they can say one thing and do another. And these are all different traits of reptilians. You may call it lying. They say politicians lie all the time or whatever. This whole system of politics was created by the reptilian kingdom. When I say kingdom, I'm talking about the humanoid type of reptilians that existed in other star constellations back in Meldeck and on 4. You have to remember, or you have to ask yourself, I should say, where did politics come from? Have you ever asked yourself that? Like the whole concept of politics. Where did that come from? How did that get introduced into our culture? This got introduced into our culture by the reptilian type of beings or species. They introduced politics. Like different aspects of our culture came from different beings. Like love and to have compassion and to love someone came from Pleiades. And that's a separate video. See what I'm saying? So when you think about the culture of human beings, like we love, we have compassion for animals, we do this, we do that. Where some people are scientists, some people are into mathematics, people like sports, different things like that. All of these different aspects of your culture come from different extraterrestrial groups, and I have to make separate videos addressing the different groups that different particular species are having affinity for. But reptilians, they love politics. They can shapeshift. You have to remember one of the traits of reptilians, they like to shapeshift. And like David Icke did point out, and he was right about, and other people on YouTube talk about a lot, you notice these politicians shapeshift. They got horns coming out the back of their head. I'm not going to use nobody's name. I've saw the videos. I'm sure somebody's going to leave it in the comments probably anyway, because, you got radicals out there. And shout out to you. I mean, I'm not knocking you, whatever. But I'm not trying to get all up into people's names in this video. I'm not trying to name drop. I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just trying to talk about characteristics, because this shit is real. It's very, very real. So, I mean, it's nothing to play with. And yeah, you do have beings that they like to hang out in the political arena. Another arena that they like to hang out in is the penal system. Dealing with judges, lawyers, cops, all of these people that like those type of industries, they are reptilians. They like to hang out in that because, again, power, control, the ability to compartmentalize. They live two dual lives. A lot of times, people that have the reptilian gene going real strong, they may live one life at work and come home and totally forget that life and live a separate life at home, and they're able to compartmentalize, or what you call shapeshift, into another type of life when they get home, and they forget, and they call that mind control or whatever the case may be. But the bottom line is that they have the ability, everybody doesn't have the ability to do that, to just totally wipe your memory for a period of time and go and live in another type of life, and then boom, you go back to work and you're just totally different person. That's a reptilian trait. That's a shape-shifting trait. They have the ability to shapeshift, and shapeshifting is not always about physical shapeshifting. It starts with your mind and being able to fit and shift into different shapes of society. The home life, the work life, the religion, the life of religion. So the penal system, they hang out there. There's another place they like to hang out at is in the pornography industry. Yes, the pornography industry. A lot of reptilians are attracted to sex. And not everybody, you might say, well, all human beings like sex. Reptilians, the difference between a reptilian, if you got reptilian in your genes, and it's men and women are like this, so women don't jump on men, because there's a lot of women out here like this. You can go out here and be in a loving relationship, everything's perfect, hunky-dory, but if you see something that just, lights your fire, makes you hungry, you can go out here and not only cheat, because humans cheat, but you can cheat and feel no remorse after. You can just come home and act like nothing happened to your wife or to your spouse or whatever. That's a reptilian trait. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about I'm talking about a scientific trait, the ability to compartmentalize. Remember, reptilians can compartmentalize things and act like things didn't happen. They're wonderful liars because they believe their lies. Reptilians lie to themselves. They lie so good. You ever heard somebody say, you only lying to yourself? You ever heard that phrase? That's how reptilians are. They lie so damn good. You try to call them on, like, just tell me the truth. And they just keep lying because they believe it themselves. But then when they go do the same shit that they just lied about, they wipe their memory and then come back to you, the person they just lied to, act like they didn't do it because they don't feel guilt. Reptilians do not feel guilt. You have to remember that. So they like to hang out in the pornography industry. Some of them that are not really into relationships, they don't mind showing their body and being into sex and things of that nature. You got to remember, males came from the toad aspect of reptilians. Females came from the snake aspect of reptilians. You got to watch part 1 to get my definition on what a reptilian is, because I have my own definition, like I said. So I know you say, well, snake ain't really reptilian and the toad's not really reptilian. Reptiles are lizards. Got to watch part 1, and then that'll help you to understand, or the video I did before this one. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe so you can check out the playlist of catalog videos that I have. But so yeah, the toad aspect. This is muscular men get into pornography, and they're always muscular men with large muscular phalluses or bigger phalluses. That's how you can tell a reptilian. Like, it might be a small cat, but he got a big phallus. And he may have reptilian in him, because reptilians, that's where a lot of people with larger phalluses got their traits from. The larger phallus and the larger testicles came from reptilians. As far as the women, they're snakes. So, a woman that's considered more so sexy, or that looks different, like she got this on and she looked one way, and she put that on and she looked a totally different woman. These are reptilian women. They can look like a professional lawyer. You notice on pornography, they do a lot of role play. So the chick may come in, she may be dressed up like a professional teacher, and then, they do the little role play, and the next thing you know, she's a sexy, fine ass motherfucker type, what I'm saying, looking female or whatever. She shapeshifts because she looks different. This is a pornography trait. This is what they look for in the porn industry. They look for women that have different, multiple looks and ways about them, and their skin tone, everything looks different on different photos. They look for stuff like that. So that's what reptilian trait. They're in the pornography industry. They are in the industry of religion, believe it or not. Yeah, a lot of your pastors and all of that, these are reptilians. They have the ability, because, they're just like politicians, really, pastors are. They have the ability to lie. They have the ability to recite information really well. They have the ability to be very good presenters, because they are shapeshifters, and they're very good at not really acting, because it's not really an act. They for real about it. It's just a natural, esoteric, metaphysical gift that they have. Reptilians are into spirituality. So a lot of people fail to realize they're into it, but they're into it and using it to control people, and using it to not just control people, but to manipulate people. And it's not always about bad things either, but this is their nature, which you got to remember. So when I say control, I'm not speaking on control from more of like a sense of, I guess you could say, like judging them for it or being like it's wrong. I'm speaking on control from basically on a nature point of view. This is their nature, to control, to manipulate. This is what reptilians do or whatever, a species of reptilians. They have a hierarchy mentality. And you notice some lizards, there's another type of reptilian I'm going to go into another trait that you may realize they're reptilians. They are followers, people that are natural followers. Yeah, I spoke on the leaders, but there's the follower class of reptilians. There's different classes. And you notice that a lot of reptilians or lizards, they look up. And I know you may be laughing or whatever, but that's a trait because they look up. They like to look up to people. That's a reptilian trait, believe it or not. Some humanoids out there, some humans, they don't look up to nobody. They're like, I worship myself. I ain't looking up to nobody. Reptilians do respect structure, and you have the reptilian that feels like they should rule everything, and they're the ruler, and people should look up to them, and they want to lead people, and you have the reptilian that likes to follow. Yeah, see, that's what people fail to realize. So it's not just all about power and control and manipulation. You have the good reptilian that likes to follow and likes to do things right. There are vegetarian reptilians. They don't all eat meat. They're not all savages. You see, so there's different aspects. Actually, that's another way to spot a reptilian is if you ever met a true vegan or a true person that doesn't really like have affinity to meat, they could be a reptilian. They just naturally like that. Like they don't crave it or anything. They're like, oh, I might have been vegetarian since I was 15. You know, that's a natural reptilian. They may have amazing occult abilities to be able to project certain lights and be able to see certain visions. These are reptilians, you know, in the flesh. And these are people that have more so affinity to the reptilian part of their genes is dominant. Because you have some people that are independent. They don't want to follow nobody and they don't want to lead nobody. And if you like that, you don't really have the reptilian trait dominating you. So if you aren't any of those people, then you can kind of exclude yourself from possibly being a reptilian. Another way to spot a reptilian is that some of them, not all of them, but many of them have that rare blood type. I believe it's O negative. Many of your reptilians have that. They have that O negative blood type. They're very creative, people that are in the creative fields. And heavy into what I'm saying. It's like getting money off of it, capitalizing off of it. Everybody likes to draw and do things like that. The people that are in the creative fields and that are like, I can't work for nobody, this is what I do, I'm about my art type of thing, and I'm going to make it. They have reptilian genes dominating you. Now, just because you may have one of these traits or fit into one or two of these traits doesn't make you a reptilian. This is why I'm about to name a certain amount of them. And if the majority of them fit you, then you may be a reptilian watching this video. Another way to spot a reptilian is... there's so many ways to spot a reptilian. Let's jump into another one. Another way to spot a reptilian as far as, let's talk about how they deal with their finances. How reptilians deal with their finances. They're very good at controlling their spending, compartmentalizing their money. Reptilian type trait people don't just get tempted to buy something, for instance, if they go to a store. They're just not going to feed into it and be like, oh man, I got to have that, I'm going to buy it. They're not impulse buyers, basically is what I'm saying. They have a lot of control when it comes to their finances. A whole lot of control when it comes to their finances. Another way to spot reptilians, I'm kind of going fast because I don't want to make these videos too long, is that they like to live by water. Now we all like water, but you got certain people that's like, I got to live by some water. If I'm not living by some water, then I'm going to go crazy. Like, I have to be living by water. I'm just not going to be sane. That's because that's going back to the reptilian aspect in you, or reptilian trait in you. You feel like you got to live in water, just like there's some people that they like to live in the desert. See, there's different reptilians, and you got to remember, a lot of reptilians did exist in Egypt, but in Egypt, that used to be a rainforest. It wasn't always a desert. Science proves this. So these reptilians, when they first came to Egypt back then, it was a rainforest, you know. Some reptilians, when they first came to this planet, they was living underwater. So I went into their type of jobs that they do. Now, another trait of reptilian is, you can spot a reptilian, is they have the ability to manage multiple relationships. They have the ability to manage multiple connections. That's another way to spot a reptilian. They are really good at so-called polygamous relationships, polyandry, things of that nature. The females are accepting of it. They don't have a problem with, you know, their man being with more than one woman, or, you know, and they may feel a little jealousy, but they can get over it. Like, to a point, they like living in that type of society because they may have an art or something that they work on. They don't want a man all up under them. So they're okay with the polyandry or polygamy type of lifestyle. They're okay with that. Their jealousy factor and their love is different. They have a different type of way of showing compassion. Reptilians do. Another way to spot a reptilian is that their sex drive. reptilians have the ability to shapeshift during sex and to channel energies and to manifest things during the sexual experience on a really high level. A reptilian you'll know a reptilian because they'll be able to shapeshift and make an earthquake, say for instance, happen somewhere while they're having sex. And this is why when you read about it in a lot of the books, when you get into it, a lot of people say that they've seen reptilians shapeshifting during, sexual experiences, or people that were humans, they thought they were humans, and they saw this lizard or something like that come out or whatever during a sexual experience. This is because they changed, their image changes, and their real higher self, or not really their higher self, but the self that rules them, or the reptilian that's guiding them, comes out during a sexual experience. So they have the ability to do that. Another way to spot a reptilian on a deeper level is that they have the ability to hide things really well. They're really good at hiding things. Not just hiding things about themselves, but hiding physical objects. Most reptilians, they're really good at, they're magicians. A lot of them, they're really good at escaping from situations. Like a lot of your reptilians, and you hear people that break out of jail and stuff like that, these are reptilians. They are escape artists. They know how to escape. And a lot of reptilians are not going to like the fact that I'm putting out this video, believe it or not. They're not going to like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to kind of stop on there. Another way to spot a reptilian, and this will be the last one, and I'll go ahead and shut down because this should give you a really good idea. There's more. I can keep going on and on, but there's more, but this should give you a really good idea. But the lastly, but not least, is that they really aren't good one-on-one friends. They like to either hang in group environments, or they can just as very well be a loner. It's two different types. You got the type that has to always be a part of like groups and different fraternal orders and part of like organized social type of groups. They're into social orders. You have other ones that they're just straight up loners. They don't really hang with anybody, but you don't meet too many people that are reptilians that fall in between, that just got like 2 or 3 good friends, and they go out and go bowling. It's not about no group thing or nothing. It's just friends, just the love that you have for a friend. No, reptilians, they only make friends if it's a part of this group thing, this whole organized type of syndicate type of thing. That's their friends are part of that, what you would call a so-called culture even, or a cult even. So they're into that. So hopefully that gives you a good idea of what I'm talking about when I talk about reptilians. These are different ways to spot them. For those people that took the time to watch these videos, and thank you for listening, thank you for watching. I know they were a little bit long this time around, and be looking out for my next one. So I hope that helped to the brother that asked the question. Just gives you a better perspective on your boy, Brother Rod's views on this stuff. And until we meet again, I'll go ahead and shut this video down, leaving you in peace, blessings. Stay well.